My name is Shamecca Harris. I am a creative writer and activist, born and raised in New York City, Harlem. As a person, I'm a black woman from a low-income background, and that in itself comes with a lot of baggage, right? When I was 7 years old, I had these very grand ideas about what I wanted to be in a way that I think all kids do. Like, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, thinking big. I can remember my stepfather told him I wanted to be president of the United States, and he laughed at me, right? He told me that I could never be president because I was born black, I was born poor, and that I was born a woman. And because I was born this way, I could never aspire to be the HBIC of the free world. In retrospect, that experience wasn't necessarily unique. I'd be patronized because of who I am over and over and over again throughout my life, but it was the first time that I kind of had a fundamental understanding that, well, something is happening here that I don't really understand. As I grew older, I learned that there was a word for it, right? Intersectionality, standing at the intersection of multiple forms of oppression as a black woman and as someone who comes from a low-income background, right? Manifests itself in so many different avenues and sectors of my life. For a long time, I feel like I existed as almost two selves, right? My authentic self, who I felt like I was on the inside, right? That I would show to my family and my loved ones, but to the outside world, it was more so about countering this narrative that I thought, and very often I was right, folks had in their head about who I was. I can remember in college talking to one of my deans about experiencing racism. I felt like I was being spat on every single day. I can remember sitting in a classroom with a group of students and being told by one of my white counterparts that slavery was awesome for America, right? Because it made America the great economic power that it was, or that it is, right? And that racism isn't real. Racism doesn't exist, and it's it's something that we, I'm assuming that he meant black people, kind of want to hold on to in order to get a handout. Something along those lines. Not in those words exactly, but that was another moment where I am getting a real world look into, at elite university, what the future leaders of this country thought about race and thought about people like me. This when they go low, we go high thing, which I think I'm getting better at practicing. Yeah, those 4 years in DC were challenging, but those experiences, as awful as they were, kind of not only opened my eyes to the way where I stood in the world, like they've inspired me. Inspired me to consistently, through my actions, through the work that I do, through the writing that I do, right? To constantly reject that narrative, to constantly define myself for myself, right? And never allowing myself to kind of sit back and be silent. History is cyclical, right? As much as we feel like this is the end of the world and we're on the verge of an apocalypse, we've been here before, and arguably things have been worse. This work is going to be lifelong. This is a commitment. This is something that is very important to me. And it's something that can't be solved in a year or a day or with one 800-word think piece or one book or one protest, right? This is something that kind of needs to be spread out, stretched out, something that is going to take a significant amount of time and effort.